What's up, everybody? You know, we got to talk about Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. This is Rep the Set. I'm your host, Vinsanity. Thank you for coming. Hey, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. I see a couple of you have subscribed and been viewing. I appreciate you. Again, I am not an expert. This is totally brand new. I love it. I'm having fun. I'm going to break down tons of stuff. But right now, let's get into Let There Be Carnage. Alright guys, this is Venom Let There Be Carnage, starring Woody Harrelson, Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, Naomi Harris, and a little bit of Stephen Graham mixed in. So we start off with Naomi Harris's character, Shriek, and she got that way through a mutation, they say in the story, but they don't really explain how. They don't really explain much in this movie at all, which is kind of my biggest pet peeve about it. And also, they're in some type of insane asylum, some type of high-level security research center, where her and Cletus are being kept at the same spot. Cletus is furious after Shriek is taken away from the facility, and he demands an interview with Eddie Brock. And he's dangling his murder victims' locations in front of the police and the media in order to get an interview with Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock makes a mistake during the interview and puts his voice recorder too close. And Cletus takes a bite out of his hand and tells him, "I've tasted blood before." And that is in blood. And then you can see the red Carnage symbiote start to form on his fingertips. And Cletus eats it. And that's basically the point of exchange where Carnage is born. And, you know, Eddie Brock and Detective Mulligan obviously have their differences, and Detective Mulligan doesn't trust him. So Venom wants to eat him. In this next scene, we still get Anne and Dan, and now Anne is getting married to Dan, and she invites him to a public place so he can't make a scene. And he's trying to hide the fact that he has venom inside him, but she definitely detects it. And here we get our normal Mrs. Chen jokes, and this time Mrs. Chen actually is supplying chocolate to Venom because it possesses a type of protein that Venom needs. It's only in chocolate and in brains, so she's helping Eddie in that aspect. They focus a lot on this movie with the bromance between Venom and Eddie Brock himself. I mean, sometimes Venom is yelling so loud in such a weird voice, I don't even really understand what he was saying in the movie, and that was part of the problem for me. I was like, what is he saying? So that aspect, of course, I got to see it on video and with the closed captions. But here, he's obviously, again, they're trying to get him to eat chocolate. He's not allowed to eat brains. And obviously, you see here Eddie Brock holding the chicken. And Venom is getting annoyed with the fact that Eddie's holding him back, not allowing him to eat brains. And he's just sick and tired of chickens. And it becomes this whole domestic violence thing, almost. And Venom and Eddie Brock end up splitting ways. But before that happens, they interview Cletus and they figure out where his bodies are found. Now, this is a very important scene because if you see here, he's reading the Daily Bugle, the detective, and it's in print media, and it's black and red and white is the theme colors. Obviously, we saw in Spider-Man Far From Home that the Daily Bugle is now a .net service, kind of like an internet service that has turned into a media site. So we can tell here that Venom is not in the same universe as Spider-Man, the Tom Holland one, which would be the MCU. So he figures out his secrets because Venom is able to draw from memory what he sees in Cletus's cell when they interview him, and he's able to reenact what is drawn on the walls, and it gives them clues to where all the bodies or some of the bodies are hidden. And Tom Hardy figures that out. He takes credit for it, and obviously he makes a lot of money, so he can still lay around and be a slouch. It's kind of weird. And him and Venom get into an argument, and that is part of what leads to the separation that they have. Of course, now Shriek, who is obviously reading some form of the Daily Bugle, gets a hold of that, and she just totally tears her soundproof cell apart, because remember, she was taken from the insane asylum that Cletus was at and brought to this special cell because she possesses this power that kind of reminds me of Black Bolt, right? The inhuman who was obviously exposed to the Terrigen mist and all that good stuff. And so she has been put in that cell in order to control her powers, and she's reading that he is going to be put to death. And obviously she's not happy about it. And then we got to the scene where Cletus is actually going to be put to death by lethal injection. And once the serum starts to go inside him, that's when we start to see Carnage come out of his body and all of a sudden start to take shape and form, and he breaks free and killing all the cops, and he actually breaks free of the gel and obviously is freeing inmates on his way out as Carnage, a red symbiote. Again, not a very good storyline, not much information about the symbiotes, which bothers me a lot. So Cletus and Carnage make a deal. Carnage says, I want to kill my father, quote unquote Venom, so that way I can be the best, the baddest, the illest, the killest, the realest. And, Cletus is like, cool, just let me save this girl and yada, yada, yada. So they go and break her out of her soundproof prison. And here, the movie just kind of gets silly for me, where Venom is jumping bodies and killing people on the street because the symbiotes aren't a match, and he's going to the rave clubs, and he's like, you really like me, and it's definitely just fill time. It's lazy writing. Been there, done that. They're not giving us any in-depth details of what these aliens are, why they're here. Just Venom 1 was way better because it actually had a storyline, it actually had a purpose. This one, I just kind of seems like they're just piggybacking off the end credit scene, which we'll get into later. And so, of course, they free Shriek, and I'm just not buying it. Like the jungle fever with the hillbilly in the tacky suit with the black woman. Like, I'm just not buying it. I don't care enough about their relationship, and the fight scenes were just blah, and obviously she's Shriek and he's Carnage. The sound affects him. So when she screeched one time, he couldn't take it. He said, if she does that again, I'll rip her face off or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But they weren't an exact match because he loved her. And with her power set, there was no way that they would be a symbiotic match. And that's how Venom and Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy's character, was able to defeat Venom, as Venom killed Shriek because she ended up screaming in the fight scene. And Venom was able to attack them in that moment of vulnerability. Which kind of brings me to the end credit scene. I'm sure you've heard it by now, but if you haven't, I'm going to reiterate it. They were in a hotel room, a slummy hotel room, and Venom is talking about how the symbiotes have traveled 80 million or billion light years across the stars, and that information would melt a human's brain. And he tries to give Eddie Brock a taste of that information, and it ends up warping the reality around him, and they end up in the MCU watching the Daily Bugle that we saw in Spider-Man Far From Home. So Eddie Brock confirmed. Who knows? Is he going to be in Far From or No Way Home? Or is there going to be a Venom 3? Is he going to work with Spider-Man? These are all things we're going to talk about going into the conversation. This photo actually came out before Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, where Eddie Brock is obviously wearing the Spider-Man No Way Home hat. I love Marvel. I love the intricacies, and I love these little Easter eggs. Thank you for watching. Let's get into the conversation. And obviously, the Funko Pop reveal. I know you guys have been waiting for it. Otherwise, the Funko Pop drop. Thank you. So, guys, that was my breakdown of Let There Be Carnage. Here's kind of my review. I wasn't really thrilled with the movie. I mean, it's Sony. And to me, they were kind of piggybacking off all the MCU stuff that's happening. The storyline was weak. It went nowhere. We didn't hear anything about symbiotes. It focused on Ann and Dan, Miss Chen. It's kind of the same recycled jokes. There was nothing new that they really gave us. The fight scene was vanilla and with no sprinkles on top. and it was obvious to see that Shriek's sound capabilities was going to bother Carnage at the end. It wasn't a surprise. I didn't care about their so-called long-lost love story. It wasn't realistic enough. And the only thing I cared about is the end credit scene. And so, another Sony movie where they're destroying Marvel characters. They need to just go ahead and give the characters or sell the characters back to Marvel and just let them do it correctly, because this wasn't good. And the end credit scene, obviously everybody's excited. Yes, he's going to be in the MCU. We don't know if he's going to be in No Way Home or if there's going to be a Carnage 3 where they do a team up under Sony, which I'm scared. If that happens, I'm scared. I'm letting you know right now. So, we still got a Funko drop though. Yeah, like I said, not much connective tissue. Not really much to go on that I really cared about besides the end credit scene where, okay, cool. We saw that the dailybugle.net versus the print Daily Bugle. So we know that Venom and Tom Hardy have somehow traveled into the MCU. Whether it was because he tried to give himself a sense of his consciousness or it was something else, like the threshold being broke or, whatever the case may be. Ooh, that was loud. So we really don't know yet. I mean, Marvel is definitely going to pay it back to us. Oh, this is Carnage, by the way. We're going to... It's kind of loud. Huh? Sorry. They better have a stand because sometimes these things don't stand up right. And that's the problem. Like, he was like, oh, it's a red one. And Venom was scared of him being a red one. But they didn't really tell us why. Like, the whole movie. No stand. Bruh. No stand. How is this thing supposed to stand? Look. He don't even stand. Oh. Fail. One more time. We'll try again. Fail. Funko Pop. Send every one of them with a stand. Tell them. Send me with a stand. Alright. Anyway. So that's my drop on Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. It wasn't that great for me. Marvel didn't really do it. It says in association with Marvel. I'd be mad if I was Marvel and they put my name on that movie. But anyways, we're going to be doing a drop on What If, the season finale of What If, episode 9 that's dropping tonight. So please stay tuned for that. Again, thank you very much for liking, subscribing, and I hope we can keep going, keep this conversation going. And I'm going to do other genres and other movies. I'm definitely going to do Squid Game and a bunch of different Netflix titles. So we hope you guys enjoy. Drop a comment. Again, we appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.